Hi there, I'm Phil, and welcome to another of my story analysis videos, where I take a deep dive into a film in terms of its story structure, character arcs and themes. Today, we're looking at A Clockwork Orange. Make sure you've seen the film, spoilers ahead. A Clockwork Orange was released in 1971, written and directed by Stanley Kubrick from the novel by Anthony Burgess, and stars Malcolm McDowell as Alex. This was the film released after 2001: A Space Odyssey, which I looked at in an earlier video. So Kubrick was riding high, having made what is still regarded as one of the greatest science fiction films ever, but it was a big, challenging production in terms of visual effects in particular. So he wanted to do something that was simpler and easier and, frankly, a bit quicker to shoot. He had been working on a version of Waterloo, which was the opposite of all that, but he was struggling to get the money and the financing for what would have been a very big, massive production. So he pivoted basically to do an adaptation of the book by Anthony Burgess, A Clockwork Orange.
The phrase, as queer as a clockwork orange, is good old East London slang.
Which was for its time, despite being science fiction, in a kind of future dystopian society, low budget, small cast, shot primarily on locations they could find with only having to build a couple of sets, as long as he could find the right actor to play the lead role of Alex. He found him in Malcolm McDowell, in what was his first major starring role in a feature film, If, directed by Lindsay Anderson.
When do we live? That's what I want to know.
Stanley had just seen If. He saw it 4 times. He really loved the film. When he started to read the novel from the 3rd page, he just saw my face all the time. I don't know why.
And Malcolm McDowell is perfectly cast in the role, even though he's arguably a bit old for it. The character is meant to be 17 at the start of the film. Because the challenge with a film like this is our central character, our main protagonist, who is speaking to us, the audience, directly through voiceover. It's very first person. He's our central character, and he's awful.
One thing I could never stand was to see a filthy, dirty old drunkie howling away at the filthy songs of his fathers and going blurp blurp in between.
He's a criminal at the beginning. He does some of the vilest things in the first act, and this is a 3-act structured film when it comes down to it. But your central character, they don't have to be likable, but they need to be empathetic. So to do that with a character like Alex in this film, you need to cast an actor who can nevertheless be empathetic to the audience. Someone that we can feel for, even if we don't agree with their actions.
The Durango 95 purred away real horror show. A nice, warm, vibraty feeling all through your gutty woods. Soon it was trees and dark, my brothers, with real country dark.
And as I said, this is a 3-act structure, but unlike most 3-act films, this breaks the 3 acts roughly into 40 minutes each. Act 1 is setting up Alex, his gang of droogs, the language they speak to one another, and their nights of rampage when they go to the milk bar, fight rival gangs, and invade people's homes and beat them up, basically. This leads us to one of the most confronting scenes in the film, where they invade the home of a writer and his wife, and prepare to rape the wife while they're beating up the husband.
There's a young man here. He says there's been an accident. He wants to use the telephone.
Well, I suppose you better let him in.
And Kubrick is, of course, famous for doing multiple takes, way more takes than most other directors do. And this scene took a lot of takes to get right. And it wasn't until Malcolm McDowell came up with the idea of singing in the Rain, while he's kicking the shit out of the writer and cutting the dress off the wife, that the scene kind of came together.
I'm singing in the rain, just singing in the rain.
In that scene, I'm supposed to be euphoric. And so when I was rehearsing it, I just started to sing.
You improvised that in the
Yeah,
scene?
yeah.
It adds a juxtaposition to the whole thing that's rather terrifying. By today's standards, the scene's a bit tame, arguably, but it's still very confronting. Because there is full frontal nudity in the film from both male and female. Because there is very plain, stark lighting. And because this is shot in a wide shot for the most part. It's treated very simply and matter-of-factly. And that's what's most disturbing about it. We get the same effect, to some extent, with the second home invasion in Act 1 when Alex sneaks his way into the cat lady's house.
How the hell did you get in here?
And attacks her with a sculpture.
Leave that alone, don't touch it! It's a very important work of art!
So all of Alex's activities in Act 1 are setting up the nature of his character, how terrible he is, how much of a juvenile delinquent he is. And when he kills the cat lady, that becomes our first act turning point. Not just the accidental murder, but also the fact that his droogs mutiny. They tried to at first, when he bashed one of them in the balls for disrespecting Beethoven. And Alex managed to suppress that mutiny.
And I viddied right at once what to do.
But then they got their revenge by calling the police on him.
The police are coming. 1 minute, Droogie.
That leads us directly into Act 2, which is all the stuff that happens in prison. Alex must now conform.
Are you able to see the white line painted on the floor directly behind you? 655-321?
Yes, sir.
Then your toes belong on the other side of it!
And while this is essentially a black comedy, most people at the time it was released did not see it as a comedy. And in fact, the pushback, especially from that first act, where there were copycat crimes and death threats to Stanley Kubrick and his wife.
Every time a magistrate wants to get his name in the papers, he'll say that this crime is a direct result of Clockwork Orange.
That is the reason the film was pulled from distribution soon after it was released, because Stanley Kubrick, as producer, owns the rights to all of his films. So for many years after its initial release, you could not see A Clockwork Orange, especially in the UK. And it was never released on DVD, Blu-ray until after Stanley Kubrick's death, which was in 1999, only 6-7 years ago now.
After a trial with judges and a jury, and some very hard words spoken against your friend and humble narrator, he was sentenced to 14 years in Starger number 84F, among smelly perverts and hardened prestupniks.
So in Act 2, Alex is in prison and he meets the priest.
I have tried, have I not?
Well, you have, my son.
I've done my best, have I not?
Indeed.
I've never been guilty of any institutional infraction, have I, Father?
You certainly have not, 655-321. You've been very helpful, and you've shown a genuine desire to reform.
Now, the priest is the one in this film, the one really good person in this film, who represents our theme. And I believe the theme for this film is essentially...
when a man cannot choose, he ceases to be a man.
Is it right taking away someone's free will to protect society from them? But the politician in our story, the minister who comes to visit the jail, believes there is a better solution, at least politically, by not having so many people in jail, by rehabilitating them with this special medical treatment.
I take it you are referring to the Ludovico technique.
I don't know what it's called, Father. All I know that it gets you out quickly and makes sure you never get back in again.
Alex hears about this treatment, asks about it, and makes sure the visiting minister notices him. So he will be chosen for this experimental treatment.
You're absolutely right, sir.
Shut up, bleeding hole!
Who said that?
All Alex wants at this point is to get out of jail. All he wants in the entire story, basically, is to be left alone to do what he wants, to live his own life. His parents are not paying attention to what he's up to. Society and the police are not paying attention until he kills someone. And now all Alex wants is to get out of jail and go back to the way he was. But he's not prepared for what this experimental treatment is going to do to him.
He's enterprising, aggressive, outgoing, young, bold, vicious. He'll do.
Being chosen by the minister and the signing of that contract becomes our midpoint for the film. That's our shit gets real moment, especially once he signs that contract. There's no turning back for him there.
Don't read it, silent!
That leads us directly into the therapy itself and this famous sequence.
Stop it, please, I beg you! It's a sin! It's a sin!
Where, of course, Malcolm McDowell scratched his cornea a couple of times, and the extra by the side, dropping saline into his eyes, was a real doctor, as many of you would know. The second act turning point, the all is lost moment kind of, is when the treatment is complete and Alex is put on display and tested. Each of these sequences in every film, frankly, is a test. And the test here for Alex is someone abusing and attacking him, and Alex can't fight back because it makes him ill.
And turned the like joy of battle into a feeling I was going to snuff it.
And then a semi-naked girl coming out and him not being able to act upon his sexual impulses with her. And this line here from the priest in this moment defines for us the crux of the story.
The boy has no real choice, has he? He ceases to be a wrongdoer. He ceases also to be a creature capable of moral choice.
But Alex is cured.
And the very next day, your friend and humble narrator was a free man.
This is now Act 3, where Alex first goes to his parents' place, hoping to just move right back in, but they have a lodger.
That's Joe. He lives here now. The lodger. That's what he is. He rents your room.
And he can't even punch the lodger in the head, which he wants to do.
Well, do put your hand over your mouth, please. It's bloody revolting.
Then he encounters the hobo that he met in Act 1.
Leave me alone, brother.
And then, of course, his fellow droogs from Act 1, who are now police officers.
If it isn't little Alex. Long time no viddy, Droog.
Until finally arriving back at the writer's house, ironically, who manages to get his own little revenge on Alex.
Try the wine.
So they haven't changed Alex's behaviour. All they've done is make it impossible for him to act on his impulses. And as far as the politician and the scientists are concerned, that's all they need. We don't want him hurting anyone else. But then he tries to hurt himself. And now this is a problem for our minister. So this final scene in the hospital bed is where Alex wins. They reverse the treatment.
I kept having this dream. And like all these doctors were playing around with me Gulliver. You know, like the inside of my brain.
The minister offers him whatever he wants.
Because you are helping us.
Helping you, sir.
We always help our friends, don't we?
As long as they can have the press there and take a photo that everything's fine. And the final shots in the film are meant to represent Alex going back to his old ways. So our central character does not learn anything here. He does not grow, he does not change. In fact, he wins. He gets a happy ending at the end because he gets what he wants, which is he wants to be left alone by the authorities and his parents and everyone else to misbehave as he will. And now he has permission from the government to do that. They don't dare interfere with him again. And there is no central relationship in this film, really. The relationship with the parents, with any of the girls he encounters, with his droogs, his mates. These are not really relationships that matter in terms of his growth arc. So who does grow and change? Does anyone in this? As I said, there's only one person in the entire story who is effectively a good person. The priest at the jail. Everyone else is in it for their own benefit. Everyone else is acting selfishly. And either according to their own free will, or trying to suppress someone else's free will, Alex's in particular, of course. And is the theme correct, do you think? This is a question for you, the audience. Is it right to take away someone's free will to benefit society? Is that rehabilitation, or is that ultimately a new form of torture?
I personally feel that it's more violence of the imagination, of the mind. I think the film is very important because the statement it makes is about the freedom of human beings to choose.
And when you get to the third act, where Alex is being beaten up by homeless people and driven to taking his own life, hopefully, as an audience, you're feeling some empathy for him, while at the same time feeling, why do I empathise with this monster? That's the dilemma that you're confronted with. That's the point of the film.
I think that Burgess, who wrote the novel, let's not forget the writer, wrote a novel about the freedom of man to choose. He made it difficult for the audience because he made the main character, the anti-hero, a violent, evil force. And therefore, of course, it made it very difficult for people to accept it.
And that's the challenge of A Clockwork Orange. It does seem a bit dated now, of course, but this is why it was such an innovative and controversial film at the time it was made.
Punishment means nothing to them, you can see that. They enjoy their so-called punishment.
We discussed this film in a couple of my classes recently, and they were very split about those who liked it and those who didn't like the film. But it is one of those films that challenges its audience. It challenges your beliefs about what is right and wrong, and where do we draw the line with people like Alex.
And I'm warning you, little Alex, being a good friend to you as always, the one man in this sore and sick community who wants to save you from yourself.
So that's my take on A Clockwork Orange. If you'd like to learn more about filmmaking, check out my book linked below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.